Decision making and stress seems to be something that we absolutely need to be paying attention to under these circumstances. So let's take a little bit of time in talking about decision making and how we can make good, effective decisions and mitigate the stress that it might be causing us and the people around us. So the first thing when we think about decision making is to think about how can we triage our decisions. Not every decision requires emergency care. Not every decision that we make can be left to sit and percolate for days or weeks. Being able to identify in the same way that you do when you're providing patient care, what requires our full attention, our focus at a high level today, and what decisions can we take some time to think about, to sort through, to pause long enough to make our permanent decision. The problem is under high stress, we think that everything is emergent. Everything gets a code red. Everything requires our highest level of thinking and quick acting and reactive decision making. In reality, it doesn't. So one of the things that I think is most important when we think about decision making, even in our own personal lives, is to apply that triage method to ourselves. Are we giving all of our decisions that emergency level of stress and anxiety when not all of our decisions require that? Being able to triage and sort through will help us reroute our brain, because we know that our brain under high levels of stress tends to resort to becoming reactive, relying on the emergency kind of thinking. So being able to pause long enough and pull ourselves back to look at each decision that we're trying to make and putting it into buckets. So here are a couple of questions that you can be focusing on when you're trying to make these decisions. One is to ask yourself, does this feel good or does it feel right? That's a big difference right now, right? There are so many things that we feel deprived of and disconnected from, that our decisions can feel good. I want to be with my friends. I want to go back to socializing. I want to have the life that I had before because it feels good, as opposed to does it feel right? Can we put our decisions into the bigger context of the circumstance that we're living through? That as a guiding principle can help us move away from focusing just on the reward of our decisions, but also weighing the potential consequences of our decision. And the other thing is to be asking yourself, is the decision that I'm making right now, will it be good for me and for the people that I love in the long run, not just in the short run? And here again, we're back to, I don't want to wear the masks and have to talk to my children, but in the long run, is that the right decision for me? So being able to sort through and navigate all of those decisions that we have to make around our need to keep ourselves and our family and the patients that we serve safe is to ask ourselves a few of those important questions and pausing long enough so that the brain doesn't reroute us into thinking, yeah, it doesn't matter, I'm tired and I'm fatigued, I want what feels good as opposed to what feels right. Once we've made our decision, the next thing is to be able to communicate that decision effectively. And the first place in being able to do that is to own your bias. We all have a bias. We all have a lens by which we are looking through, bringing in all of our background and our information and our profession into play when it comes to making these decisions. You as a healthcare provider are making decisions through the lens of a healthcare provider. Business owners are making a decision through the lens of being a business owner, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So being able to own your bias when it comes to communicating the decisions that you're making is really important. The other thing is to get to the point. Whether you are trying to tell your children, my decision is you cannot have friends over, don't soft pedal and continuing to fluff it up and belabor the whys and the hows you came to that decision, and then getting to the decision, but by the time you get there, it's kind of embedded and the person that you're communicating is like, wait, what did you just decide? What are we doing here? Be clear in your decision. Add the information that you've used to render your decision so that there's a context for that decision, but quickly get to the point of how you've made the decision and then what the decision is. That can be a helpful strategy for not only the people that you are communicating with, but for you as well. And as with all of these segments, I'm also talking about good self-care. How do we take good care of ourselves, manage our anxiety, and continue to navigate through the uncertainties that COVID-19 has presented us with? Limiting how many times you have to make decisions throughout the course of the day is also a strategy for good self-care. And how do we do that? Is by making sure that we are prepared, that we have those little things that we have to keep making decisions about already in place. What we're having for dinner, what we're going to wear the next day, by not blowing all of our energy on each of those little teeny decisions that we make over and over and over. Be prepared, be organized, have your answers to the certain decisions that you've already made so that you can free up your energy for the big decisions that we're confronted with all day long. We'll see you in the next one.